TOXSDIAMOND's Teahive Movie Night channel. Today we are reading from Screen Rant, and this one's a good one. Judas and the Black Messiah True Story. Biggest changes to Hampton and ONeil. Judas and the Black Messiah turns its focus onto Bill ONeil and Fred Hampton, but there were a few changes made to their story to benefit the film. Judas and the Black Messiah is based on true events that led to the state-funded assassination of Fred Hampton in 1969. Hampton, Daniel Kaluuya, the chairman of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party, was deemed a radical threat by the FBI. In the film, one of the agents compares the Black Panther Party to the Ku Klux Klan, a false equivalency to be sure, and J. Edgar Hoover's plan is to stop the rise of Hampton, the titular Black Messiah. While Hampton is central to the film's narrative, FBI informant William Bill ONeil, who's played by Lakeith Stanfield, is at the forefront, infiltrating the Black Panther Party and later offering the blueprints to Hampton's apartment, an act that would lead to his murder by the Chicago police. Judas and the Black Messiah gets a lot of the facts right about what happened in the roles of Hampton, ONeil, and the FBI. But considering that it's a film, there are bound to be creative liberties taken, be it as simply as slightly exaggerating the truth or tweaking events to better suit the narrative. Here are the film's biggest changes to Hampton and ONeil's story. Bill ONeil was in a car accident. In Judas and the Black Messiah, the introduction of Bill ONeil involves him stealing a car from an outside convenience store, with the owner and a couple of others clamoring to stop him before he took off with it. One of them successfully used a knife to cut through the roof and stab Bill before he finally drove away. However, Bill doesn't seem to get very far before he's apprehended by the police and arrested. While Bill did steal a car in real life, he claims he was with a buddy the night of that theft. They'd both been drinking and decided to steal the car, driving around Chicago for almost an hour before deciding to go visit a relative across state lines. He and his friend got into a car accident out of state, walking away from the incident and fled back to Chicago on a bus. According to ONeil himself, it wasn't until 4 or so months later that FBI agent Roy Mitchell contacted him about this incident. It took another few months before Mitchell propositioned him to join the Black Panther Party as an FBI informant, with the promise that any stolen car charges would be dropped. The film, on the other hand, plays fast and loose with the timeline that the event that led to ONeil and Mitchell's first meeting, with the only theft being propositioned as the lead up to their working together. Judas and the Black Messiah never reveals the exact ages of Hampton and ONeil. Kaluuya and Stanfield are 31 and 29, respectively. Those are the actors. For the purposes of the film, the audience is to assume that Hampton and ONeil are also around the same age. However, Hampton was only 21 years old when he was killed, a full decade younger than his on-screen counterpart. Meanwhile, ONeil was just 17 years old when he became an informant for the FBI, and about 20 years old at the time of Hampton's death. That's a big change, since the ages of the men heavily affected the way that they were seen. Their youth and, in ONeil's case, his naivety were certainly factors that influenced their actions and emotions aftermath of Hampton's assassination. However, Judas and the Black Messiah neglected to reveal the men's true ages, thus altering the way that the audience will view them. In the film, ONeil is frustrated at first because he tells Mitchell, he can't get close enough to Fred Hampton to leak information to the FBI. So ONeil asks for a car that he can start driving Hampton and some of the other high-ranking members of the Black Panther Party around in Chicago. With Hampton in the forefront seat alongside him, ONeil was better able to engage with him, the chairman, to eventually earn his trust. However, during ONeil's only interview with Eyes on the Prize, as well as other sources, point to him never having been Hampton's driver. According to ONeil, who says it was easy to get a position with the Panthers because they were short on personnel at the time, He was given a position of head security rather quickly, and there is no information that suggests he had to convenience Mitchell to get him a car to get closer to Hampton at all. So that is another change in the film. The police raid that came in the final moments of Judas and the Black Messiah showcases what happens after ONeil hands over the blueprints to Hampton's apartment to Mitchell. The night of the raid, Hampton had several people over for dinner before ONeil slipped him a drug that would keep him asleep during the violent and harrowing event. In the film, Hampton's girlfriend and fellow activist Deborah Johnson, who now goes by Akira Jerry, is portrayed by Dominique Fishback in the film. Attempts to shake Hampton awake as soon as she starts hearing gunshots. He never wakes up though, and it's thereafter he's shot at point-blank range while sleeping and dragged out of his bed across the ground in the aftermath. However, it's as Jerry tells it, Hampton's eyes were open after being shaken. He lifted his head slowly, with his eyes trained on the entranceway, before lying his head back down. Jerry claims it was the only movement he made, quote unquote, during the raid. In the film, Hampton never awakes. His eyes remain closed and his head remaining on a pillow for the entry and the entirety of the police assault. If you guys are interested in this film, please make sure that you let me know down below so that I can add it to Teahive Movie Night channel. Of course, you guys know that these actors are very famous, and the latest film that we know was played by one of these actors was Queen and Slim, which was definitely a banger, and I believe this film will definitely be a hot hit in the box office. Thank you guys so much for joining Teahive Movie Night, presented by Toxic Diamond Productions, LLC. Make sure you guys leave comments, like, and subscribe.